Welcome back to another episode of Pimp My Ride. What I got here is an AC kit. LS1 to 240SX AC. So we'll see how this works. It also says you have to use a dual overhead cam AC condenser because the fittings on the single cam condensers are different. I have a used AC compressor right here. This is for GM. I'm not gonna use this though. Okay, now to make this work, you'll need to keep or source a few key components to the dual overhead cam AC system. First of all, we'll need a condenser and this line attached. Second, the dryer and the lines coming off of it. The dryer we're gonna replace, it's just for mock-up right now. So this is basically how it's gonna be set up in the car. This will be coming off the firewall, going to our dryer, coming off of the dryer, and going into the condenser. Now after, Sikky sells 2 adapters. The first one we're gonna put on right there. That's gonna bolt in the factory location where the factory line used to come off of. Now that line from the factory would come directly off there and then go to the compressor. So we have this full Sikky AC line kit. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this side of the line and bolt it up to there. Coming off of that, we have 2 Schrader valves on it for some reason. And this will go directly to the compressor. Okay, so I've got everything in for AC now. I've already gone over the line kit. We got our dryer here. We got a brand new compressor, got some hardware in there, and all our fittings. I already got the AC bracket on the engine itself. And look, here's the intake manifold that I painted. I already got it dirty with the heater core lines on top of it and the coil packs. I've got new plug wires and some heat wrap coming for those too. So what I'm gonna do first is take off this plug and install these fittings on the back side because they're kind of a pain in the butt to get to where they're gonna be on the car. Kind of can't mess this up. You see the step down here? Step down goes on the step down side. I'm gonna take these and fit them onto here though. Push that down. I'm putting some caps over the fittings so I don't mess up the threads while installing it. And so that nothing gets in there while we're installing it. As you can see, that's the compressor installed with the Sikky fitting. Hopefully this doesn't stick out too far because the engine mount is right behind it. All right, so I've got the compressor on. Now it's time to do a slight modification. I'm gonna take a hole saw bit and hole saw this out right here. Well, actually not right there, right here. Hole saw that out for our new line to fit. Got the hole cut and some chafe guard put on there. So now our new holes will go straight through here. But before we start putting anything together, hold on 1 minute. Let me tell you about my friend, Mr. Clean and Flush. So we're gonna clean and flush everything here that you see in front of us. We're gonna start out with the condenser because I'm gonna install that. Well, not first, the compressor was first, second. I'm gonna install that second. So I'm gonna flush out the condenser. I'm gonna install the Sikky AC fitting, and then we'll get to the rest. Just hold your horses. After we get a good bit through there, we'll follow that up with compressed air, and then repeat the process for every piece on the car that we're putting on there, besides the compressor, because that's brand new. Now we can install our second Sikky fitting that goes straight to the condenser. I guess they call it Fit 126. New O-ring on it. Don't forget it. Okay. This is already tightened down. There's an O-ring in between this and this block also. What we'll do next is we're gonna set this in the car loosely. We're not gonna put the bolts in yet. you can see our Sikky fitting is right there. Our factory fitting is right there. And then we're gonna use factory lines coming off of here, going around to our dryer, coming off of our dryer, and to the firewall. All right, now for the high pressure side. This is red coming off of condenser, and then this 90 will go directly to the back of the compressor on the fittings that we just installed. Feed this through the hole that we just cut out. Ideally, what you would want on this hose is like 150 degree or even 180 degree fitting coming off of here instead of a 90, so it'll kick it back like down here, and that would line up a whole lot better. So I got my O-ring kit here, just put some O-rings on it. The long line coming off of the EVAP core on the firewall and going to the dryer. All right, so coming off the firewall, going directly to our dryer. This is the line coming off the firewall. Now coming off the other side of the dryer, goes back and meets up right here. Now we've got a pressure port fitting, and then it loops across, down, and into our condenser. Off the condenser with our Sikky AC fitting, this will go straight to our AC compressor. Now, I'm gonna take our last low side line and put the big low side line on because I have to tighten that one first. I really don't think this line's gonna fit very good, but we're gonna find out. Just the way that it has to loop back to the compressor, it's like, we got this Sikky fitting, fit 163. That goes on to the firewall, and it acts as a union for our Sikky line. Because now I don't know how this is even gonna go besides like, it comes off the firewall and it's gonna have to like loop down and then keep this same loop to go back up to the compressor. It's gonna be super awkward. All right, so I got it on. I just gotta figure out how I can get a wrench in there to tighten it. All right, so we've got everything installed. Got our high side and low side lines hooked up. You can see the Sikky low side loops down underneath the compressor, loops back up and goes to the big port here. Coming off the small port, it goes down through a little hole that we cut out in front of the condenser and up to the Sikky supplied fitting. What I'm gonna try to do next is I'm gonna take off this bumper bracket and I'm gonna try to fit this single overhead cam AC fan up in here. Hopefully it'll fit because I'm gonna need this. I'm gonna need this right here. Now I just got to wire this plug up. The plug's cut, but it needs to be cut because I have to extend it. Because on dual overhead cam, the plug is over here because normally the fan's on the front side. So I just gotta extend these two wires, put this plug on the opposite side of it. So these single overhead cam fans have two plugs. The one on the left is an over temp switch. The one on the right is your AC switch. They both join into the same wires. It's just two different actuations for one fan. The more you know. In the process of extending my fan wires, I did brown and white because brown and white, even though it's gonna be blue on the pigtail end, whatever. Okay, so apparently it stopped filming because my memory filled up. We'll heat that bad boy up, and we got a nice little pigtail coming off of our fan. All right, I'm back and I got some parts in today. Here's the last pieces of the AC puzzle in this box. What we have here, part number. This is a GM pressure switch. This pressure switch is gonna go right there on that fitting that I thought was just an extra. It's not, it's for a pressure switch. And then we have part number, harness connector, AC compressor pigtail. So now we're gonna work on the wiring for this AC system. Personally, with my setup, it's really simple. So this is a Wiring Specialties Pro Series harness, and it has the AC add-on. You see I got an AC relay here. GM likes to control the AC through the ECU. I'll put a diagram on the screen of how they like to control it, but basically without a pressure switch signal that you see here, the AC won't come on. The AC signal wire is gonna be the blue with green stripe coming off of it. That is what goes from the chassis into your ECU off of the button. Now out of the ECU, that's gonna be your AC clutch signal or AC magnetic signal. And that one is gonna be your output. And that output is going to go from the ECU into that plug there. And that's where you'll find the other side of the AC signal that goes into the chassis. Also, if you're running a JZ or RB, you will need to use a factory 240SX pressure switch that would normally go in that fitting right there. You'll take that plug out and put a factory 240SX pressure switch in there. But like I said, since we have the GM one and we're controlling it through the GM ECU, we do not need that. We're gonna take this other end of the compressor plug. This side is just gonna get ground. And then this side, we're gonna jump into the factory 240SX compressor plug right here. Blue, green stripe. Like I said, the RB or JZ, you're just gonna tap in at the dash plug, tap in at this plug, and then wire your compressor directly from the factory compressor switch. So now it's time to install our pressure switch. All right, pressure switch is installed. So basically the GM control, ECU controls wide open throttle, will turn the compressor off, and if the engine is about to stall, it'll turn the compressor off. So those are two little functions that are all controlled through the GM ECU. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut these two wires, crimp them together, and then we'll get to building our sub harness. This is gonna be my AC connector sub harness kit. Be sure on these open crimp connectors, you always look for the split in the barrel. Now, I don't think it's gonna focus, but there's a split in the barrel, and the split in the barrel you always want to put towards the top of the crimp. Or when you go to crimp it, it's gonna split the crimp awkward and you won't get a good grab. All right, we're done. Real time, that took me all of 5 minutes. So we've got our compressor plug here coming off, branching off. We got our ground here that's gonna go to the cylinder head, and then coming all the way over this way, we've got our lead that's gonna go to our compressor switch. Now I'm just gonna hardwire this end into the compressor end because we have the other side of the pigtail, but we don't have a pin for it. And I'm fairly certain this car is gonna stay LS1, so there's no need to have a plug on this side and a plug over there at the compressor. I ran it across. I'm gonna tie this up so it runs with the AC line, but got it in. There's our compressor plug. I just gotta take the ground, wherever the ground got lost at back here. It's right here somewhere. Take that and ground it to the cylinder head. So I'm not going to be able to charge the AC in this video because today is Wednesday and I have to edit the video tomorrow night and then it gets posted Friday. So I don't have enough time because I still have to get the car running. And like we talked about last night, I need to relocate the oil filter housing to this side of the car. So I obviously can't start it up and charge the AC without doing that. But I'll check up on the next video, next week's video. Next week's video is gonna be painting the car. I'm gonna paint it this weekend. So that's pretty exciting, finally getting some color on the car. I really wish that there was different degree fittings on this side because like this one coming off, it's like bends super awkward and like it would be so much better with like 150 or 120 degree bend instead of a 90. But I mean, I can't complain too much. The whole kit came with the car. I didn't pay anything for it. Already had the Pro Series harness. I literally just had to buy a compressor, buy the pressure switch, buy the plug, and buy a dryer, redo the expansion valve, and we're about to have ice cold AC. I hope I've covered enough in this video, but for now, that was the AC install on the Sikky AC kit. Like I said, I'll update next week with how cold the AC is after I get this thing running in the paint video. And then after that, I mean, maybe one final video after paint, and this thing's gonna be wrapped up and it's gonna be for sale. But until next week, I'll see you then. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next week.